Thanks for tuning in to another video, and for today I have the Amazfit Bip Max. And this is going to be, I'm not going to do an unbox video, but I'm just going to do my first impressions video. And I think this is the Amazfit's big rectangular design or square design frame. The Amazfit Max was their big round design. This was a 1.5 inch screen, but this was creeping out of budget territory at $170. So this is $100, which is pretty amazing, right? The big thing about this is this big screen. I'll put this on my wrist in a minute, but this is a big screen. This is a 2.07 inch AMOLED display. So this is a little bigger than the Amazfit Bip 6, which had a 1.97 inch screen. So kind of pretty close, but this one, I think I can see it's definitely bigger. I don't know if that comes off on the video, but that is definitely, this one over here is the Bip Max, and that is a little bigger. And this actually reminds me a little bit of the Redmi Watch 5, which is still an awesome watch, but this one does not have as much smart features as the Bip Max. And I'll show you all this stuff in my full review, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the size. This is the same size screen as the Bip Max. And the Redmi Watch 5, I did a review on this, and if you remember, I just loved the big screen. I mean, you could just have so much data on here, and all the fonts are very big and easy to see. So I did actually love this screen. And if you like the big screens, the Watch 5 is a great option. You can check out my video for that, but also the Redmi Watch 6 is out, and I'm just waiting for the global version to be released in the United States, and I'll review that one for you. But right now, we got the Bip Max here. And this is actually made out of aluminum frame here, which actually looks pretty nice. It's a nice brushed aluminum frame, but it does have the plastic on the back. So this looks aluminum, but it's not. And I thought that they made a mistake on the weight, because on the Amazfit's website, they list this as 52.6 grams. And with the aluminum design, I really didn't think it was going to be so much. And it definitely is less than that. But then, of course, we got to add the straps in there. This is the included straps. And we get to that weight, which is shockingly heavy. Probably because of the big screen, but definitely heavier than I thought it was going to be. And it actually feels not heavy, but heavier than I thought it was going to be. Okay, now we do have standard 22mm bands on here. So if you have your own bands and they're 22mm, you can go ahead and use them. No proprietary straps here, which I always love. Let me put these straps on and show you what it looks like. Okay, so thankfully I paused the video for this because putting these straps on was actually very difficult. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was probably like a 9. Because you can see here, it's actually very firm in there. And you can see how the bend is, so you can't lay this flat at all, which is a little disadvantage. I like when you can do that. But I guess this is supposed to fit a little nicer with the built-in curve. But again, that's the way it is. But again, these bands were very hard to put on because they just sort of fit in there. I mean, you had to kind of squeeze the plastic in, and it was just a little harder than usual. But anyway, once you get them on, hopefully you don't need to change them too often. Now, the other thing about this build quality here is that the screen is only tempered glass. Amazfit, sometimes in these budget watches, it does come with sapphire crystal. But this one is tempered glass, so you have to be a little more delicate with it. I'm sure they will have some screen protectors on this in the future. And you can see this is pretty flat here. So probably easy to find something to put on there if you are hard on your watches. And the Bip Max here does have just the 2 buttons. You got a little red tint on there. And this is the silver color. It does come in 3 different colors. This is the silver, and then the dark blue and the carbon gray. Usually when I order my Amazfit watches, I have to wait for the color I want to come out, which is always released like a couple of weeks after the initial one, because the initial one's usually like black, and I just hate it. So this one actually was nice that it was silver and I could buy it right away, so that's great. But there's only 2 buttons here. There's none on this side. You got the speaker over there, but no buttons. So this is more like the Active 2, which had the 2 buttons over here and nothing on this side. And you can definitely see the difference in the thickness there. And this is, that nice polished look. And this is that brushed design. So it's just a matter of which one you like. And then also we had the Max. This also just had the 2 buttons, which again, it was just a little thicker. Let me just show you that together there so you could see that. And then the Amazfit Active 3, if you really like the 3-button design but kind of still want a budget price watch, well, this is the 2 buttons there, and then we got the 2 buttons over here. So that could be something you're looking for, but this is a smaller screen. This is 1.32 inches, so definitely a little smaller than you might like, and the bezel on this one was a little bigger. This one does give you a lot of real estate, so I really like that. Now, just doing a first quick impressions here, I just scrolled through the menus, and I really like the new updated quick toggles. So if you swipe down, look at these. Oh, they look just so much nicer, I think. And you have them all right here, real accessible. Instead of having to scroll over and get into a couple of them, a couple of different menus, it's just kind of one scroll, almost like an app list. Really easy to access them very quickly, which I really like. Then, of course, if you swipe over this way, we're going to get our exercises. And of course, there is a lot. You want me to go through them? I'll just show you there really quick. And there's probably like 150, 160 exercises on here, so more than you would ever need. Up here, we got the shortcut cards, which is really nice because you can scroll. These are like your widgets, and you can just scroll through these very quickly, and you can see they only take up a little bit of the screen. So again, you could swipe through them very quickly, and you could have like 20 widgets on here, or shortcut cards, and just get all your information really quick. But then, of course, this is the back button up here. And then if I scroll over here, I'm going to get into my apps, and I'm going to go over this in much more detail. A new app that they didn't have on any of the Amazfit watches that was actually just in the update I did here is the training calendar. You are still going to get offline maps on this, which, I mean, amazing. This is $100, and believe it or not, you're going to get your built-in GPS. You're going to get 5 satellite positioning systems on this. You're also going to get GPS support on this. You're going to get turn-by-turn directions, and you're going to get alerts when you go off the route, but I don't think you're going to get a automatic rerouting or guidance back to your route. I think Amazfit is reserving that for the more expensive, more premium watches like the T-Rex 3 Pro or the Cheetah 2 Ultra, but you know, those watches are $400 and $600, so a little bit crazy price jump. And let me just keep going through the apps here. And if you're familiar with the Amazfit watches, I mean, most of these are pretty standard. You do get a compass, which is nice. There is no altimeter on here, which is something that they had to get rid of. Now, another big advantage of this watch is the battery life. You do get a very big battery. It is a 550 milliamp hour battery, and you're going to get 20 days of battery life per Amazfit. I'll test that out, but usually Amazfit, a couple of times they weren't exactly right, but Amazfit usually is pretty close on the battery life. So again, I'll test that, so stay tuned for my full review, and just leave it in the comments. Which one would you prefer? A full review on this where I go over all the features and details, or just like a tips and tricks video where I just show you where everything is and all the little hidden features? So you let me know what you think. Leave it in the comments, and I will come up with that video first if I get some input from you guys. This is rated for 5 atmospheres, so you can take this swimming if you'd like, but a little bit of a downgrade is that it only has 4 gigabytes of storage. And that is, like I said, a downgrade because some of the Amazfit watches have 32 gigabytes, but some of them also have like 500 megabytes. So it's a little bit of a downgrade from the higher end ones, but a little bit of an upgrade from like the Active 2, which just didn't have a lot of memory at all. So 4 gigabytes, I think that's going to store definitely all your maps that you need. And I think you could store a pretty good amount of music on here. So unless you have a real big music library that you just need to put on your watch, I don't think you should have any issues. Now, of course, this is compatible with Apple and Android, as all Amazfit watches are. And if you're new to smartwatches, I'll just let you know this is going to track all your usual fitness stuff. It's going to track your heart rate, your SpO2, your stress, your HRV. It's going to do your sleep tracking. It's going to give you your time in each of the sleep stages, including your REM stage. It's going to track your breathing rate overnight, and also is going to auto-detect your exercises, which is a nice feature. If you're going out for a run, you don't always have to set it. It will automatically recognize that. You also do get the usual biocharge. The new update here is personalized training plans and a training calendar, which is really nice. And you're going to get, I mean, Amazfit does pack a lot of features, and I just can't get into all of them right now. I just don't have time for them all. But you actually do get a lot, or most of the features you do get on these higher end watches. So I'm not really sure how Amazfit is bumping up the price on their premium watches so much, because it's really hard to justify getting those watches. I mean, the build quality is obviously better, but still, it's very hard to justify 3, 4, 5 times the price of this watch, because this one does give you a lot of stuff. Let's talk about just some of the smart features here real quick. You're going to get a mic and speaker. So here's the mic down here in the corner, if you can see it. Here's the speaker right here. And so you can make and take phone calls with this. Typically, Amazfit, I have no issues with their phone calls. The quality is usually very good. And there is also a lot of options for responses on the phone calls and also on your text messages. But that is only available if you have this connected to an Android phone. With an Apple phone, you're just going to basically get the notification. And let me just scroll through here and show you some of the watch faces, because a couple of these are actually kind of cool. These are the built-in ones. I don't know, none of these are all that exciting to me, but I thought I saw a couple that I liked. Okay, there's nothing that exciting. But let me just show you a watch face that I thought was exciting in the app that I saw. Okay, so I have a 7.5-inch wrist, and you can just see what that screen looks like. I mean, the bezel is just a little chunky there, but you do get a nice big screen, and I mean, I think this fits my wrist fine. you know, I like big screens, so I really like this. It is also a little thick. I don't know if you could see that there, but it is a little thicker. So it is, and it does stick up over the wrist a little bit. So that may be something you don't like, especially if you like, where did it go here? So like the Active 2 here, let me just show you. I mean, look how different this is. The Active 2 is much thinner. So if you like a smaller screen, and look how thin this thing is, you know, so this is much nicer for you. Even the 3 is definitely more thin than this one and sits closer to your wrist, but this one is still a little thicker than the Active 2, and then the Max is probably the thickest, I think, and that does come up not quite as much, I don't think, as this one, but that is a little thicker, almost as much, but this one does stick up quite a bit, and that's with the band that curves down like that, so you can see it's hugging my wrist real tight, but it is still sticking up just a little bit. Now this one I thought I liked, but I don't really like it. I don't like having the logos on there, but this one I liked, and these I just added through the Zep app, but I thought this one was kind of cool, right? Just very different. I really like that, and you can see the screen. You have like so much real estate here. You could have a lot of details on here. So if you like to have your screens filled with data, I mean, you can put a lot of stuff on here and still be able to see it all very easily. Now, you might have also noticed I have the Helio strap over here. I've had this, I don't know, a year and a half, whenever it first came out. And I'm going to have the Google Fitbit Air coming like today or tomorrow or something like that. But I'll do a comparison between the two, and you can decide which one you like, because the Google Fitbit Air and the Helio strap here are both $99. If you're interested in that and you don't really want, this is like the opposite of this one. This is like a huge big screen, and this is just a little tiny thing, and the Google Fitbit Air is even much thinner and lighter. So again, I'll do a comparison video on that. Just to, you know, if I don't promote myself, who does, right? So just if you're interested in this stuff, hit subscribe or check out my channel. I'll try to leave the links in the description so they're easy for you to find, but I would appreciate any support that you can give me. And the only thing I just wanted to leave you with here, a couple of cons that I found, things I noticed right away is, again, you get 4 gigabytes of storage, which is a little better than some of the watches, but a little less than some of the higher end watches. You got a tempered glass screen here, which is not great, and it is a big screen. And this lip here, I mean, I don't think it's raised at all. This appears to be just flush with it. It might just be up ever so slightly. Definitely a little bit of a concern with this huge screen like this that does stick out a little bit. Very easy to maybe hit this on something. So I'll see how good I am. I'm usually pretty good with the watches, but I have cracked a couple of screens, so I'll see how this goes. Hopefully I'll do the review video before I crack the screen. Now, the other thing is, I'm fairly sure this is a single band GPS. The single band GPSs of Amazfit has been very accurate for me. If you do live in an area with a lot of trees and buildings and things like that around you, you might need the dual band. But again, I'll test the GPS on this one and make sure it is okay. There is no temperature sensor on here, which most of the Amazfit watches have, even the budget ones. And there is no barometric altimeter on here, which again, most of the other watches do have. You do get a compass on here. I did see that. So leave it in the comments if you want me to compare this watch with some other watches. And like I said, I'll do my best to do it. And I would probably assume that you try to keep them in the same price range. So I'll try to do that and compare them if you're interested. Otherwise, I'll just pick some watches that I think you might be interested in. That's kind of a way to do it, right? Okay, so this was a first impressions video, and I just wanted to give you some idea of what the features are and the specs and size and all that kind of stuff, just in case you were looking to get this watch, because it is available. I mean, I just bought this and got it. If you were waiting on ordering this might have helped a little bit. If not, like I said, stay tuned for my full review on this. Well, I'll give you a lot more information and some tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff. So if you stayed to the end, I really do appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. If this video was helpful at all, please consider subscribing and liking and all that good stuff. I do appreciate all the support. Thanks so much, and I will see you on the next video.